All right, for example 2, it says graph f of x equals 2x minus 6 and the function g a reflection of the graph of f across the x-axis. How are the equations related? So in order to graph f of x equals 2x minus 6, that's just a line, right? So that would be, well, its slope, a y-intercept is negative 6 and a slope of 2. Um, so you can use the slider to reflect the graph, then drag control points to graph a new function. Okay. So again, we can see the, for the f function in orange, the y-intercept is negative 6, and then it's got a slope of 2, meaning up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. For the g function, well, they're saying it's reflected over the x-axis. So reflected over the x-axis means it's equidistant. The new y-intercept is going to be equidistant to the origin. So if this one's down 6, the new one will be up 6. So then the new y-intercept for the g function is at 0, 6. The slope of that is going to be the opposite, right? If it's reflecting, it's going to be going down instead of up. So we will pick a new point that, again, this point reflects that point. And when I draw my line through it, again, the g function is the blue line now. The orange function is the f function. The slopes are opposites, meaning the slope of the f function was 2. The slope of the blue function is negative 2. Okay. That's about it. Let's take a look at the next part. So we're going to graph f of x equals 2x minus 6. So the same f function and the function h, a reflection of the graph of f across the y-axis. So instead of reflecting it over the x-axis, we're going to talk about reflecting it over the y-axis. All right, so again, we have the same f function. Y-intercept is negative 6, slope of 2. For reflecting it over the y-axis, guess what? It has the same y-intercept. So see how the blue point is now underneath the same y-intercept we had before. Again, if I'm reflecting over the y-intercept stays the same. We will then reflect this point up here. It'll be equidistant from now the y-axis. So this point will now move to here, and then the g function will be drawn through those two blue points. Okay. You can see also now that the slope is, again, the opposite of what the original f function was. It's negative 2. So the slope is actually the same as the other reflection we had. The only difference is where the y-intercept is. Okay. All right, so again, you try a question. I would pause, give it a try, and then check back for my answer. Okay, so what is the equation for the reflected graph? Check by graphing. Reflect y equals x squared minus 2 across the x-axis. Well, let's graph it. Again, I know you guys have a graphing calculator. There's a couple ways you can do it. I would try to pull up the TI-84 that you have preloaded on your Chromebooks. Again, I don't know exactly how to get into it, but it is there. The other option you have is you do have a graphing calculator in this system. It's called the Desmos graphing calculator. So you could use that as well. I'm going to use TI-84 because once we're back in school, that's what you're going to be using by hand. Again, if you have a TI calculator on your own, you're welcome to be using that by hand as well. So you have a lot of options for what you're going to use for your calculator. In any event, you're going to just graph y equals x squared minus 2. So let's clear out the stuff that's in here. If you're going to graph, you're going to hit that y equals button, and then you're going to type in Again, it was x squared minus 2. Yeah. So x squared minus 2. So that's your x button only once. All right, so x squared minus 2. You go to graph that. If I go to reflect that over the x-axis, right, that vertex at -2 is now a vertex at +2, and it's going to open down. So I don't know if I can write on top of this. Yes, yeah, I can write on top. All right, whatever. You can at least see my cursor. So vertex will be at +2, but it'll open down, right, as opposed to opening up. The effect that'll have on the equation of the graph is that instead of the -2, it'll be +2. And then instead of x squared, since it's opening down, it'll be minus x squared. All right, so for this one, it'll be y equals negative. I don't know how to type in x squared here. So the way you type in x squared is you hit shift 6. There's a little caret above 6 on your keyboard, and that'll actually move the cursor up into an exponent position. So I'll type 2 in there. I hit the right arrow that gets me back down from there. And then it'll be +2. Check my answer. Okay, good. Looks good. Reflect the same function across the y-axis. So let's again look at this one, the graph that we made. I reflect this across the y-axis. It's already symmetrical across the y-axis, so nothing would change. Everything that's on this side would now just be on this side. Everything on the left side would now be on the right side. So it would be the exact same function. So because the graph wouldn't change, the equation is not going to change. So your answer is going to be y equals x squared minus 2. It would stay the same. All right, so that's it for example 2.